Okay, now we're recording. Sorry, I get all confused on if I'm recording to the cloud or the computer and all those things. So today is actually like a weird day for this in a sense. Like the other couple of days I knew for the most part kind of like what I wanted to talk about on this, because obviously I just decided that I think it was on Friday that I was doing these last week, so a week from today. And it was a lot at first because I was like, well, I mean, I want to have these because I feel like people do really need these, but I was like, I feel so unqualified to lead these. Like I felt so unqualified, and I was like, well, what do I talk about? What do I know? Like I'm so new to my faith, you know? And so I kind of wanted to talk about just like feeling unqualified, but also being new to your faith, because I think a lot of people that are like do hop on these are newer to their faith, and I think that's really, really incredible for you to be diving in and just like getting some ideas about like where to start and things like that. So I'm going to try to talk to people that have been in faith, or maybe they grew up, or maybe they even haven't. So I'm going to try to do 3 different things. But I was looking up Bible verses on like feeling unqualified because I don't really have a devotional on that, and I couldn't really find any that I liked when I was thinking about this morning. So I looked up, what does the Bible say about feeling unqualified? And John 15:16 came up, and it said, you did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit that will last. Then the Father will give you whatever you ask in my name. And I was like, dang, like that's intense for the first verse that I looked up for today. And so to me, like I kind of think about it as like we see waking up as like such a simple thing. Like you woke up today. Okay. You probably don't even think about it. Okay. But to me, you woke up today. So God still has a purpose for you in today. Okay. And so like I think about these people who are healthy and who in a sense have no idea that they're gonna go home, like to heaven. And God takes them, and we're like so thrown off by that. But their purpose on earth was fulfilled. And so like when people are struggling, when they're like, I feel so unqualified, I don't know, I'm like, God has a purpose for you. Like you are still here on this earth with him. Well, he's up there, but with him here, you are still here for a purpose and for a reason. And so when you wake up, well, you already woke up today, but like when you wake up tomorrow, maybe it'll kind of change your perspective. And that's just something that's taught me to be more thankful in the morning of like, okay, I opened my eyes, I get another day with my son and my husband. I get another day to do this incredible business. I get another day to praise God for keeping me here, you know? And so that was just something that was really, really cool to me. And so what was the other part that I was going to talk about? Okay. So I also looked up, why does God why does God call the unqualified? Because if you look up so many different people in the Bible, and I don't know all of their names, but almost every single one of them was completely not perfect. They had messed up, they had sinned, they were, I don't even know what the word is for them, but they were not the perfect Christians that you would think about him using to be able to share his story and his glory, basically. And so it said God chose this, means he intentionally selected you, being aware of your weakness and incompetence. The thing is, he makes what was useless useful, aka like your brokenness, you know, because a lot of people think that's useful and think they don't have a purpose. What was fruitless fruitful, what was painful gainful. It's a lot of rhyming, I know. In fact, making the impossible possible is God's specialty. And there's a song that I wanted to share the lyrics with you about. Hold on. Gosh, I can't remember. Dang it. My website with the one that I was going to look up went away. So I guess I'll try to think of that song later. But it talks about how God's not done with your brokenness. And honestly, there's a Bible verse about that talks about he uses your ashes and your dust to make jars of clay. And I for life of me can't remember that verse right now. But I kind of want to talk to like different people here about that, because I did feel really unqualified to do these. And I honestly was like, should I cancel today? Like, because I don't know what to say and I don't feel qualified. And I'm kind of really in my head right now because I didn't know. And so I guess I'll kind of like share a bit of my story of why I feel so unqualified, or still have felt and still do. So I have no idea who my dad is. Like my biological earth dad. I have no idea who he is. I never have known. I never have had much of an idea. My mom had told me a story when I was younger, and the story's kind of changed as I've gotten older. So I'm honestly not even sure if that's the real story. And so when I was growing up, it was like people always talked about God being this father figure. And for me, it was like, well, I don't have a father figure, so why would God leave me like this? And I was mad at him for a long time. Okay. I might have not had a good faith, but I still like believed. But I was like, why would he do this to me? Like, why would he put me in this scenario, in this situation? And so when I met my husband, actually, it was the first time we went to church together, to his church, which actually ended up being our home church in Mitchell, where we were at. And they did worship music at the beginning, and they sang the song Good, Good Father. And I bawled my eyes out. And I was like, well, okay, because I didn't think he was a good father at that point. But I also was not open to looking at any of the gifts he had given me. The fact that I was still on this earth, like I wasn't looking at any of that. I was just looking at all of the negative of my life and saying, well, God left me without this. I didn't get to do a father-daughter dance at my wedding. I didn't get to do a father-daughter dance at the dance studio that I grew up at. I don't get to see my kids have a relationship with my father, which would be their grandfather. Obviously, like Daniel's dad is a grandpa, but you get what I'm saying. I didn't get those things. And so when we were thinking about getting ready to have kids, I was like, I don't know what to do, because I feel like I'm going to honestly be jealous of them. And so I struggle with that. And now I'm just very thankful that my kids have an earthly father to show them how to live, to show them how to obviously turn to God. But when we first got together, when we were first talking about faith and everything like that, I did feel really unqualified. And I was like, I don't feel worthy. I feel like God left me because I have all this pain. And so when I was like trying to figure out the hole in my heart that comes with it, because some people are like, oh, well, you're probably lucky, you don't know. Maybe he's a really bad guy and you just would rather know. And I tell people, I'm like, but you don't understand the hole in my heart that makes me feel so unworthy and so unloved, because I don't know who my dad is. Like that's what I feel. And so my husband, he always has the right things to say, but he was like, do you ever think that God did that for a reason? Because maybe if you did have your dad, you wouldn't have turned to him. And I was like, okay, and so it's not like a great thing, but he was like, I think you need to get like slowly like pray about coming to terms with the fact that you may never know who your dad is. And I was like, oh, and I was like, that really hurt, but it was true in that moment. And so what I had to start doing is thinking about the positives of my life and not so much negative. So maybe you grew up with a mom and a dad, and I'm like sincerely like happy for you that that was your life, but that doesn't mean that you don't have other parts of your life that you feel like unworthy or broken or unqualified. Like that doesn't mean that you don't have other parts just because you have a mom and dad home, if you know what I mean. And so honestly, when I started getting into my faith again, and because I did obviously somewhat grow up in the church, but I just got it kind of shoved down my throat so much. And then I didn't know my dad, and I just didn't have those people that really took the time to like study it with me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so when I did start getting back into my faith, I guess here's what I want to like help you with. Worship music was incredible for me, but I looked up lyric videos because I can listen to music because I'm a music person. Obviously I was a band teacher, all the things. I looked up lyric videos because I wanted to find songs that like truly spoke to me. And so what's the song called? Okay, it's by 10th Avenue North, and I'll type it in here. 10th Avenue North. Oh, there we go. You Are More. I knew it wasn't she, but I was like, I can't remember it. If you feel like you are, oh, whoopsie, I said that privately, sorry. If you feel like you are newer to your faith, look at this song and look at the lyrics and listen to it. Because the first time I did, I just about bawled my eyes out. And so what I like to do is I like to look up lyrics that really speak to me, that I'm like, okay, yep, 100%, like, that's me. 100%, because it talks a lot about like the sin or just not being a person of faith, or just you don't even know who you've become and you're trying to get there. And it just talks about you are more than the choices that you've made and the mistakes that you've made. And it's an incredibly beautiful song. But the other thing that I did was I just started praying simple things about my day or about myself to God. And so, sometimes it was that I'm so mad at you. Like, why do I have to have this pain of not knowing my dad? Why do I have to have this pain of feeling so unloved and so unqualified and all this stuff? I would just honestly do that. And sometimes I would hear an answer from him and sometimes I wouldn't. But when you're looking at the Bible, it is very, very overwhelming. And so a couple things that I did to help you kind of like with feeling so unqualified and with feeling so new possibly, or even new to actually having your own faith. I got the devotional, Jesus is Calling. And the reason I got that one, and I'll type that in the chat too, is because I do feel like it's very simplified. I don't feel like it's like, here's all these Bible verses and here's all these things. You know, it's not like a super, super deep one, but it still kind of gets you thinking, and it does teach you to look at the small things around you. And then the other thing that I did was I honestly just started reading the Bible. And so like, I'm a very chronological type of person. So I just started right in the beginning. And I know it sounds simple, but I just read a chapter of the Bible every day. That's all I did. So like, I'm on Psalm right now. Yeah, Psalm. And so I'm literally Psalm today. I read Psalm 16 because I do the day. So that's why I know where I'm at. And so yesterday I read Psalm 15. The next day before that, I did Psalm 14, et cetera, et cetera. And I just honestly started doing that. And at that point, like, if I'd want to read on, I could, but if I didn't want to, that's okay. But if I didn't understand, I would look up, what is this chapter of this Bible verse, oh my gosh, what does this chapter of this Bible book mean? Okay. And what I also did was I started apologizing to God. And that may be weird if you don't have a relationship with him, but I started apologizing because I didn't talk to him and I didn't turn to him for so long that I was like, I know that that's what you want from us, but I'm so uncomfortable and I'm so nervous and I just feel so unqualified, honestly, to even talk to you sometimes. And I was just like beyond honest with him about it. And so like, when you're doing that, it's okay to tell him those things, and it's okay to admit like, hey, I haven't been talking to you, I haven't been praying to you, I haven't been, doing whatever. Like, it's okay to admit those things because you're literally handing over your weaknesses to him, and that's exactly what he wants you to do. And so what I would do is, there's a few people in here that messaged about wanting to go to church. I really think church hunting is a lot. Church hunting is very emotional. It's very big, but I think you kind of have to, like, how do I say this? I think to grow in your faith, you have to find a church home. And I'm not saying you have to go to church to find your faith, even though it's kind of what I said. What I mean is, I think having those people that surround you that are so into their faith, that are going to pour into you and check in on you, like those kind of people getting on these prayer Zooms are who you want to be around, especially if you are new to your faith. And so I'm going to pray over every single one of you, like even privately about this. But I think so many times, because we fell off, or because we kind of grew up with it, but we didn't really do much with it, we feel so unqualified, and we're like, okay, well, God probably doesn't honestly even love me anymore because I've just kind of been so MIA and I haven't talked to him or anything. And that's so, so, so not true. Literally, I didn't talk to him for, in a sense, my entire school years till probably my senior year of college is when I really decently started talking to him. Now, I mean, if someone asked me to pray for them, I would pray for them, obviously. But that's the type of relationship I had. It was very, very like surface level. And so, sorry, I had something else I was going to say after that. This one kind of went all over the place today. I'm so sorry. 1 second. I was talking about feeling unqualified because you kind of fell off. Oh, that God doesn't care how long it takes. If he cared how long it takes, he probably would have brought you home by now. He probably would have taken you to heaven already. Okay. And so what I want you to think about while you're church hunting, if that's something that you want to do, is I want you to look up the church online and like see if you can find a church that looks like something you would enjoy. So like, my husband is not a big church kind of person. That's very overwhelming to him, and he doesn't feel the connection. Hold on a second, buddy. So we've obviously been church hunting this whole time since we moved. Granger, buddy, I need you to wait just a minute, okay? I promise he's fine. And so what we did is we looked up different churches and kind of like what they believe, and we tried to find out if those churches aligned with what we believe. Now, obviously, if you're new to your faith, maybe that's going to take you a little bit, but I still think looking at those churches, maybe they'll say something and you're like, oh, I don't know if I agree with that, even if you don't fully know like what your faith is yet. And so the other thing is that, like, don't be afraid to ask for help on it. I used to feel so, and I'm gonna try to end this as quick as I can, because I know we want to get to the prayer requests and stuff, but I used to feel so like I don't even know if I could find a word. I just felt bad and embarrassed for asking about the Bible and being like, I don't know what this means, because my husband is very knowledgeable about the Bible. And I'm such a visual person. I'd rather just watch a bunch of movies showing the stories of what happened, because that's how I learn. But obviously I can't do that with every single Bible verse and Bible chapter. And so I just don't want you to feel ashamed of it, because it's not bad to ask questions, because some of it is worded so weird, so freaking weird. And the world like turns so many verses into the wrong things. And yes, within reason, they are up for interpretation. But like there was a verse when we were getting ready to get married that was, well, wives submit to their husbands. And I was like, excuse me? But I didn't look at what was around that and look at the context of that. Now, it took me obviously a little bit, but I was like, that's part of the reason I was so turned off, because I would hear these Bible verses that were just short snippets of what was actually going on. And so along with that, when you're reading those, you can look up, like maybe let's say you heard that verse or heard a verse and you're like, well, what does that actually mean? Search that verse, but then look at read the actual chapter that it's in, and then see what you find. Okay. So I only have like one more thing here before I end this. So I'm so sorry. It's just like to remember. I'm sorry, I was reading the chat here. Hold on. Okay. Sorry. I was making sure I didn't miss anything else. Is to remember that God designed you specifically to be you. And he doesn't care that you have turned away from him, or he doesn't care that you have not talked to him. I mean, yeah, he's probably hurt, but honestly, I think about praying, it's like literally talking to a friend. So if I was talking to Emily and I was like, you know, Emily, I'm just really struggling today. I am so overwhelmed. I didn't wake up when I wanted to. I feel like I've got a million things to do. And I need you to pray and help me with my peace and like just my overall well-being today. Like I'm really struggling. That would be a prayer that I would pray to God, but I just talked to Emily like she's my friend. But you know what I'm saying? Like I just talked to her like I would. You know what I mean? And I could talk to, I'm going to use someone that's not on here, but I could talk to, let me use the name. Let's do some Macy, because she's on the lead these. So I'm talking to Macy. I'm like, Macy, I feel so unqualified to lead these right now. I feel so unqualified because I'm so new. I don't even know where to start in the Bible. I do not know what to do. Can you just give me some guidance today? Can you give me something? Maybe a certain book will pop up in a store that I'm like by, or it'll have a verse on it, and that's where I'm supposed to start. Like, give me some sort of sign. Like, those are just simple prayers that you can do. And like, even a more simple one, God, just give me a sign that you're with me today. I don't always feel you, and I haven't felt you in a while. I just want that sign for you to give me that today. That was a really bad way to word that. I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm like, blah. But basically, you're not unqualified. You're not broken. Like, God doesn't give us finished materials. Finished products. He gives us materials. Okay. So in a sense, you're made up of all these materials, and you're not finished, because if you were finished, you'd be going home. So your story's not done. You're not done. And he literally does not care where you're at. He just wants you to talk to him. And so that's, I guess, what I wanted to say today. I feel like that was a lot longer and kind of chaotic, so I'm really sorry, but I hope that like helped a little bit. And I genuinely mean it. If you guys would like to talk about it at all, because I am so new to my faith, I am 100% open to talking. I feel like God has used this platform, like not just like this business, but like these prayer Zooms, just in general, he's using me for so much more than I even thought. And like 2 years ago, if you'd have told me that I'd be talking to a person, I told you you're straight up crazy. I'm like, no freaking way. I am not qualified. I'm not doing it. No way. But here I am. And like, I feel so like weird, and I'm so nervous right now, but I also feel like why this was so chaotic today is because God was speaking through me, and he was talking to people on this Zoom that needed to hear it. And maybe someone watching this will also have needed to hear those things. And that's so incredible to think that God just used me to talk to people. And like, I could get emotional about it, but genuinely, if you want to talk at all, please do not hesitate to reach out. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and you guys can put your prayer requests in the chat here. So sorry, I tend to talk a long time. I could probably talk forever. Okay.